Hi, and welcome back to Star Teen Mums. So, I'm Pauline Morris. You've met me before. You've met me on Ball If Things About, My Heart, Mind, and Moxie. And you've met me on Doctors Caring for Doctors. But today we are going to be talking to another amazing Star Teen Mum. So, what this is about is for those of you who are just meeting me, I had my daughter when I was 17, and it was a challenge. It was a great challenge to most parts of my life. And that was 30 years ago. I know, right? And I thought, you know what? I've been there, I've done that, I've bought the t-shirt, and I really want to reach out to those young ladies out there who are going through being a young mom or a teen mom now, and offer them some support, some pastoral support to let them know, you know what, I know how it looks now and I know how it feels now, and it might be a little lonely and a bit scary and a bit frightening, but I can assure you that if you work with your heart, mind, and moxie, it is only going to get better. And because it is not only about me, I've got another amazing guest for you today, and she is the wonderful Courtney, right? And as usual, I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'm going to let her tell you all about herself. So take it away, Courtney.
Hey, you guys. So my name is Courtney. I was a teen mom. I had my daughter when I was 17. And from there we just kept going. Now today I do work for the United States Postal Service. I have an online thrift store. I have 2 podcasts. So having a child is not the end, I promise you.
Oh, that is amazing. And what I love about doing this and meeting you guys is everybody has got a different journey. Everybody I talk to about this, they've got a
Absolutely.
different journey. So what do you want to tell us about first? How did
Um,
you manage to get into what's your favorite thing that you do? Because you said you're a podcaster, you're a carrier, and you've got this online store. How did you
my
get into
favorite.
those things?
Okay, so my online thrift store is called Abstract Living. I started that, I would say maybe 5 years ago, but I'm just now putting it on social media. And that just started from me going thrift shopping and really having stuff that caught my eye, but I didn't necessarily want in my house. And the things that I would pick out, other people would, like and compliment, and I would end up selling it to them. And that's how that started. Queens Building Castle is brand new. It's a brand new podcast. We haven't even put out our first episode yet. We're still in the promotion stages. And then Crazy in Love podcast, we're about 6 months in. And speaking of being a teen mom, that was one of the reasons why I started that podcast. Me and my spouse, we were both teenagers, and going through love and raising a child and being young, it's a story to tell. And that's how I started that podcast, because we've been through it. We've been through the ups and downs of a relationship, plus being teen parents and really learning to manage life as it comes. So that's where that podcast came from.
Oh, that's amazing. So, oh, it's so great to connect. You're going
Yes,
to have me
ma'am.
on your podcast now. You know that, right?
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
going to take the opportunity to put you on the spot.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, you're from Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Near
Yes, I
Atlanta,
am.
right? So,
Yes.
is that where you were when you had your baby?
Yes. I had Nala in Augusta, Georgia, but we actually moved to New York when she was around 2. And then we moved back when she was around 4, heading into 5. So I had her here. We went away, experienced life, in New York, and then came back. So yeah, she's a traveling baby. She's been lots of places.
So yeah, that sounds like me and my daughter, because she
Hmm.
was born in Barbados, and then we moved to the UK, and we moved about the UK a couple of times as well. So yeah, she was a traveling baby as well.
Right.
So what was it like for you when in Georgia, being an unmarried mom at 17? I mean, what was it like?
Um, as far as my feelings, and I talked about this a little bit on my podcast. The initial feelings I had when I was pregnant, I was ashamed. I felt guilty. I wasn't sad, but I wasn't happy. I felt like I had to make a decision that was best for me. So I pondered, and I felt for a little bit unconnected with the world. But as time went on, it was just like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I think those initial thoughts of what am I going to do? You know, almost the first thing people say when they hear about a teen being pregnant is get an abortion. And it's almost the first thing that's like, okay, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
So it's like you want me to make a decision today.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, no. So I really had, my parents were great. I had time to think about it. I'm not going to say my mom was super supportive, but she wasn't swaying me in any way. She was allowing me to make the decision. And I just came to her and I just told her, I was like, hey, I think I'm going to go forward with having a baby. And she, hey, you know what that means? And I said, yes. And she did not tell my dad. And when I think about it, he asked me on Thanksgiving of that year, he just came up to me and was like, are you pregnant? And I thought he was gonna flip out. Yeah, I thought he was gonna flip out. I said yes, and that was it. He was just like, okay. I think no one knew what to say, but they didn't want to hurt my feelings with their thoughts, and I appreciate that.
That is
a lot.
amazing. That's fantastic.
Yes.
So you said you felt ashamed and you felt guilty. Did those those feelings ever go? And if they did go,
Yep.
what do you think it was that pushed that for you, that got you past the shame and the guilt to you know what, this is what's happening. I'm going to be a mom and I'm going to be great at it.
Yeah. Okay. What got me past those feelings were just, to be honest, just feeling her grow and just really, setting into the motion that I have a child. I'm about to have a child. And I think I was always a little bit more mature, and I want to add, I am an introvert. So I wasn't missing out on parties, or I wasn't missing out on anything. I had like 3 friends, so it was an easy transition as far as social life for me. So I didn't have this big chunk that I was all of a sudden missing out on. But it was just me pinning in the notion that I really have it's a baby coming. and as the days went by, it really just felt like, okay, it's happening. And when she got here, Nala was a great baby. She slept through the night. I really have no complaints. And I don't know. My teen mom, I tell people all the time, my teen mom story is a very chillax story. Nothing major happened that I didn't have to make too many decisions because I think I was already mentally older.
Right.
So it was a okay transition, and just feeling her grow really setting the tone that you having a baby.
I love that. I love that. But here's my question for you. Do you think that it was so chillax because of who you are? Or do you think it was just you were surrounded by the chillax? Or did it come from within? Did it come from you going, I just got to do this?
Yeah. It definitely came from me. Mindset. I'm chillax. Yes. My mom, I don't know if I mentioned this, but my mom, she started over when I was 13, which means she had more kids. So at the time, she had just had my little sister. My daughter and my little sister is a year apart.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And at that same time, my sister was pregnant. Me and my older sister, she was in her 20s. We got pregnant at the same time. So during that time, I think everybody had their own stuff going on.
Right.
So maybe I was so chillax about it because no one else could, worry about it for me. It was my thing. And so yeah, now that you asked, I most definitely think it was me versus everybody else. I think everybody else had their own thing to focus on. So it was like I had no choice but to really be there with myself and understand it's going to be me and me solely if I'm going to do this.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you said you and your partner were teen parents together. I mean,
yes.
So far, I mean, that seems to be the exception rather than the norm.
Right.
And you guys are still together.
We are still together. During that time, Chardell, he's much like me. We're very, just going with the flow. And so, during that time, I even made the decision to move out. My mom didn't push me out. Chardell had just got his own place. He did have a lot of roommates. And I told him, like, hey, we're having this baby. If you want me to stay here, they got to go. I did not think he was going to do it. He did it. So he put everybody out. I moved in. The baby had, Nala had her own room. And we just roll. It's really our personality of, I'm stressed. I'm the stressor. Like, if something's going wrong, you're going to feel it from me. If you think I'm chill, he's even more chill. So as long as we had the basics, we wasn't panicking. We didn't want too much. Even thinking about being a teen mom, when our very first apartment, we were on foot. We didn't have a car. And we was known as the people with the baby. I kid you not. Because we had the strap-on baby thing, and we put her in it, and we go. It never was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Or it was always like, okay, how are we going to do this? And I think that's why it was so easy to manage, because I was going through it with someone. And I think my life would have been a lot different had I not had that. Had I not had, because I stayed up with Nala at night because I breastfed, but in the morning I stayed from 7 to 12. Those were my sleeping hours. So we had a system, and it just worked. So I wish everyone could have it. I really do.
So I guess this is an opportunity for us to say something to the teen fathers out there, right? From your story.
Absolutely.
That, because unfortunately, a lot of teen moms end up sort of doing the job on their own. And it's much easier for the boy, the young man, to walk away from it. But it's great to hear you say how amazing it was for you to have that support there. So even though your parents were great, even though you didn't have that negativity in your life, you recognize that having Nala's father around made such an impact on your life. I mean, obviously it would on her life as well, but for you, that support system was, that's immeasurable, because it allowed you to have opportunities. So I suppose, this is a word there out to the teen dads to say, you know what, you're not just walking away from the baby, you're walking away from the baby's mother. And that's impactful.
Absolutely.
And no matter how brave we are and we put our shoulders back and, and stick our chests up, it will be easier if the dads are there.
It will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for any teen dads, just think about mom. She's adjusting. Her body's adjusting. She will never sleep in. She would never have someone not with her. And I do think men in general do take that for granted, especially those 6 weeks. It's exhausting to really not have anyone there. People say they'll come by, things happen outside, life is still going on. It's like you in your own private world, and it's very important for people to check in with mom. And I commend every teen dad that's doing it. I want more teen dads to do it, and just don't give up. You don't have to get it right in the first year. That doesn't mean now you don't have a child for the next 17 because you messed up. Try to make things right. Try. at least.
That's fantastic advice. So did you have, I mean, you sounded like you had a very positive experience all around. Did you have any, I mean, aside from the very beginning where you said you felt ashamed and guilty, did you find that you had to struggle more or against, you know, people or an environment because you were now the teen mom?
Absolutely. I went to a magnet school, and when I became pregnant, I wore jackets. My stomach wasn't big. I didn't start showing until I was 5 months. And for a long time, no one knew I was pregnant. However, I could not stay awake during my first period class. I used to sleep during that class. My seventh period class, I could not get to the class in time. It had stairs, and no matter how hard I tried, just couldn't make it there on time. So eventually the principal just came out and asked me, you know, was I pregnant? What was my plans? And she was probably the first person to pick me on spot, like, what you gonna do? And from there, I say I started feeling judgment. And eventually I did leave that school, and I had to go to a public school, and it wasn't the greatest, but my job, almost the same thing. You know, I was doing great. I worked in retail from 14. So I was in retail, and it's like the same thing. Once they seen I was pregnant, my hours went down, just little stuff like that, just the little judgments. As far as, we had to go through a lot. You know, being a teen parent, I know it sounds like I'm making it sound so relaxed, but it was really teamwork. It's really what it was. You know, we didn't have to worry about childcare, you know, because it was one of us. But at the same time, with it being one of us, that's your finances, because now we have to make a decision: who's going to work, who's going to stay home, what can we afford, you know, how are we going to get a car? We didn't have a car for the longest. Then you buy, when you're young, you buy cash cars from people. It's not the best car, and you end up in a bigger hole. So we went through, I don't want anybody to sit and think that it was just easy breezy. It was not. It was very hard. We have lost apartments. We have stayed with friends with Nala. I have stayed with my sisters with Nala. This baby has been on the bus, train, cab. It's really just about keep going. We have not had furniture, you know, and you buy those things. We have had to put our furniture in storage because we lost our place. It is constant overcoming, but it's also rewarding. It's very rewarding. You know, this person appreciates you, you know, through the hugs, the laughs, the everything. It makes it worth the while. It really does.
I mean, that's fantastic to hear, because I'm sure there are teen moms out there going through exactly all of this and thinking, but how and why and what next? And so to hear you say these things, you know, so it's so part of this is it's not just look at me now, it's I get it, because this was my story and this is what I had to go through. My story was different. I didn't have these sort of challenges. I had just finished, well, I say finished school. I should have gone back for another year, but I was pregnant, so I didn't. But I didn't have that battle of losing your place and not having furniture and things like that. And I was very lucky that my grandmother and my mother, you know, were very supportive and allowed me to go to university the following year. So the battles are different, but the great thing about talking to people like this is because somebody out there this will resonate with somebody. Somebody will be going through my parents are horrible.
Absolutely.
And somebody will be going through, I have no place to live and I haven't got babysitters or whatever. But the message that will come out is, no matter where you are with this, there is a way forward. There's always a way forward. And it's not going to be easy, but you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going, and you just have to see the next step. You said you had to leave your school. Why did
Yes.
you have to do that?
My grades dropped.
Right.
It was a magnet school. Yeah, you had to have a C average or higher, and this was in my junior year.
Hmm.
And I couldn't keep. I was sleeping,
You just couldn't keep
and I
up.
ended up going right, and I ended up going to a public school, and that's when I realized like public schools aren't good at all. And
Oh,
because when I went to the public school, I was in a junior. I was in my second semester, and we should have been the stuff that they learning was not the stuff that we were learning. And so I finished out that semester and I did not go back for my senior year. I ended up just going to get my GED because it was like I'm just sitting in here, I'm not learning anything. I'm just going through the motions, and I really do have a child that I could be home with. And after doing that, I did go to a technical college, and from there it's just been off and on, jumping in school, out school. So even with that, you guys, like if you start school and stop, take breaks, it's okay. I don't know what to say other than your journey is yours. It's no timeline. It's no end goal. It's really not. It's just living life. So just do whatever you can do that can also bring you peace and joy and all those wonderful things.
oh, that's fantastic. You're so inspirational, Courtney. I'm loving this conversation. So, so tell me, so because you kind of answered my next question, because I was going to say to you, when you then left public school, what was your next step? But what's great to hear you say is, look, it doesn't matter that it's not a straight line. It doesn't matter that you have to do laybys and change direction and start and stop, but you can just keep going. It doesn't have to be a straight line. And I suppose it comes back to that little saying about also celebrating the wins, and I think as a rule, not just for teen moms, we're quite hard on ourselves. We focus on the end point, which is good, but at the same time we forget, every step that we take closer to that end point is worth celebrating. And what we don't really see, what we tend to do is see the step that we've taken hasn't got us to the finish line. We don't tend to see it as it's gotten us closer to the
closer. Absolutely.
So it's really good to hear you say that, because my journey was very straightforward after a certain point in terms of where my career went. So it's really good to hear you say, well, hang on a minute, it's all right if it's not straight. It's all right if it doesn't follow, somebody else's path that one ended up in the same place. So you are now an entrepreneur, you're a podcaster, and you're a carrier. So my question for you now is, as we start wrapping things up, is if you had some advice to give to our teen moms, and maybe we've already taught our teen dads a bit, but we can some more. If there was one bit, one pearl that you wanted to give our viewers, and maybe even the parents of teen parents, the parents of teen parents, what would that pearl be?
Okay, let me think. One thing I would want to tell teen moms is your life is yours. Don't make a decision for anyone else. You have to live with that decision. A child is just that, a child. It's scary, it's intimidating, it's a lot of those things. But if you really think about it, everybody was a first time mom. Everybody, and it's no book about it. It's nothing that you can follow. So don't be scared to make mistakes. Don't be scared to live your life. And don't be scared to walk away from toxic relationships. If someone's just belittling you because you had a child young or anything like that, you do not have to accept that a treatment. There's plenty programs, social services that you can go through. And for the teen parents of the teen parents, just be understanding. We were all teens. We all know teens, if they want to have sex, they're going to find a way.
Yeah.
In the house, out the house, it does not matter. They will find a way. So just be understanding, and please, please, please allow your child the time to make the decision. I know it's hard. I know you have people looking at you, but this is their life. Allow them that. That's
Oh,
it.
that's fantastic. Brilliant. So I know we talked about this a little bit earlier on, but just to remind people, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to do that?
The best way to honestly do it is just on Facebook. My name is regular Courtney Neely, Neely. You can also write into the Crazy in Love podcast, and that's a Facebook group. And we're on Spotify, Apple, Overcast, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And just be on the lookout for Queens Building Castles. That's it.
Oh, Miss Courtney, it was so much fun talking to you, right? So don't go anywhere. I'm just going to
Okay.
say a little word to our viewers as we start to wrap up for this session.
All right.
That was brilliant. I really enjoyed that conversation with Courtney, and I really hope you enjoyed that conversation as well. So remember why we're here. Remember what we're doing. We got to support each other. We got to take care of each other. And, this baby that's coming into the world is going to be our future, right? So that baby might be the next podcaster. That baby might be our next entrepreneur. And their mom is a StarTeenMum. So don't forget to and help us get our message out there. Pass it on to anybody you feel that would benefit from this community. And I know it's called StarTeenMums, but we're willing to talk to StarTeen dads as well. So you take care now. Bye from Olives and our heart, mind, and Moxie. Take care. Bye-bye.